Hi there, welcome to Views from the Skew. I'm your hostess, the Queen Dre. This is the place that we're going to take time to overthink and jump to conclusions on the human race and things that surround our everyday lives. I am an overthinker myself as I'm a Scorpio and I love to overanalyze, overcritic and stuff like that and just generally understand the human race and what makes us do the things that we do. So if you like that kind of stuff, stay tuned for my first episode. Bless. So I'm actually recording this during my lunch break. So forgive me if you hear any sounds, stuff like that. All right. A couple of days ago, a week or so ago, I posted a picture on my Instagram and my Facebook, and I asked in the caption, tell me something that you love about yourself. Now, I wasn't going to record this video or talk about this in depth, but what had actually happened on the day was I just felt like I hadn't posted in a long while, and I didn't have any nice pictures, so I just picked a random ugly ass picture with a filter that I'm so in love with. And I posted it, and the only thing that came to my mind at the time was tell me something that you love about yourself. So I didn't have any expectations for engagement, but I was actually thinking, you know what, this is actually a different take on content that I usually give, because I'm usually talking about, hey, you can do this, or I've done this to, help myself with ABCD. And so what's interesting about that picture is it didn't get a lot of engagement in terms of, when you compare it to other pictures that I've posted in the past. um, it's actually low ranking, to be very to be very fair with you. And I had about 5 people come to me, or six out of 100 people come back to me and say, well, this is the reason. And I found that quite disappointing at the time, but I didn't read much into it. I just was like, maybe people don't like to talk to me, or maybe I'm not the person that I think I am, or, people ignoring me, or people don't have time. I didn't read much into the whole situation until this morning when I listened to the Bobo and Flex podcast, one of my very, very, very favorite podcasts, and they were talking about why self-loathe or self-hate is important for self-love. Just something like that. I'll link the podcast that you can listen to yourself. And as I was listening to it, I just couldn't help just realize maybe this is why it was very difficult for people to engage with this content in terms of how I would expect for somebody to engage with that content. So they have, when you listen to Bobo and Flex talk, they, tried to talk about the different underlying issues with regards to self-love. And Flex actually did this at an Australian festival. She walked around asking people, hey, what do you love about yourself? And she says a lot of people could not, articulate what that was or what it is. And they found it very, 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 very difficult to do. And you could see in their body language or in their responses, and some couldn't even say anything. They were dumbfounded. And part of the reason why she says that is because she thinks in places like Australia, which could be similar to, Zimbabwe and Britain in some instances, is that we're very traditional, you know, muted and humble society. Those are traits that we actually, want to achieve, and we see and we adore and we want to be like, which is different from places. Now Bobo was giving this as an example, like LA or New York, where issues such as, self-importance are very vital, in terms of your social currency. And it also spoke about how you can't have self-love without having self-hate because of how it's positioned by brands and by media in terms of, hey, you've got, if you've got, they use this as an example, if you're having skin problems, then this is going to be a solution. So it's essentially teaching you to hate your skin and not look at the good things about your skin. So I don't want to ramble, a lot about this because I want this video to be short and to the point. Um, what it got me thinking, I was just trying to figure out what are some of the reasons that people didn't engage with that type of content. And possibly the first reason, I wrote the notes down, so I'm just going to be checking. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah. So I think the first thing that, in my mind, I thought, well, this could be a possibility, is that social media has become a place for consumption and not for connection like it was originally intended. So we've got so many people that have come on to, well, okay, never mind. We've got so many brands and people that have come and commercialized this space, and things like engagement rates and followers, reach, and stuff like that, things that we have started to elevate in terms of importance. So we prioritize those things. And so it's become less and less about connecting with people that are like us or people that, we want to connect with, but more about consuming whatever can come to our space. And because of, algorithms, Facebook, Instagram, Google, everything is just targeted for things that you have shown interest for or that you could potentially be interested in, independent to what you like. So that's the first reason. The second reason is that people can't or don't want to talk about themselves on somebody else's page. So if I come and say, hey, you know what, guys, you need to do this, and my life has changed like this, people can or may, rather be interested in that kind of content and actually want to say this is my story as well and share based on that social exchange. This is something that I did in social psychology, digital psychology, sorry. And I think it does make sense in that way to say people will only share or, give certain types of information if they feel that you're also open to that information. So if my caption had not been tell me something that you like about yourself, I would have said, oh my gosh, I love my nose, that I actually don't like, but yeah, I love my nose, what do you like about yourself? Or I love my glasses, or I love my afro, or whatever. And then that means that people are going to be more open to answering the question, because now there's an exchange value and that can generate conversation. The other thing is that content creators have more social confidence than non-content creators. So I do have, I think, about two people on there that I'm very confident post on a daily basis on their stories. They always have something to say on social media. They interact with other people's content as well and with brands. And I find that they're more outspoken in terms of who they are, what they want, what they like. And non-content creators, I think I had about one or two people that barely ever post. They comment, but they don't post. And you're just like, are they online? Are they sleeping? Are they working? What's the situation? Do they have data? And, those are the people who also, contributed. And I was actually shocked. I was like, is this the content that they actually signed up for? That so much that everything else just feels like it's a show, and they would much rather do this than the other. I don't know if I'm making sense, but that what I said. And then the other things was we easily form negative opinion on others than create or have positive opinion about ourselves. So it's easy for me to, for instance, on Zim Celebs, go on there and say, oh my God, Olinda, you're such a crybaby, or we don't want to hear your business and stuff like that. But when it comes to us, we actually can't say, I'm a strong person because I don't run off to strangers and talk about my issues. I try and talk to God or talk to a psychologist or family or loved one or whatever, and, face the problem head on. So I think those are things that we're not in a position of we can actually do this, because possibly we are interacting with so much content that we cannot self-introspect and we cannot like ourselves, because we're constantly seeing things in other people that we don't like and calling them out. And this leads me to the next point. We've been socialized to not love ourselves or see ourselves in the eyes of people who don't love us. Yeah, you get that, right? So because you're always bashing or talking negatively or critiquing other people, you're starting to see yourself in the same light. I don't know what this is called in psychology, but I'm pretty sure it's something like that is the, forgive my education bundles. But yeah, like you have experienced very little of, oh, great work, or this is commendable, in the face of something that you did not agree with, so much that you start to see yourself in the light of somebody who wouldn't agree with what you're doing. And so when the question is posed to you, hey, what do you like about yourself? It's very difficult for you to come to terms with that. Now, these are reasons that I'm just, trying to like, in my mind, it might not be true, it might be true, but I'm curious to know what you think and what you could have answered. And to be fair, and to be very honest, I'm one person, if you ask me a question like that, I will go bleak. I don't know if it's because I'm a Scorpio or I'm secretive or what it is about me that just makes it difficult to come up with things like this. But if you ask me what I like about myself, I'll probably say my teeth. And it, I don't want to mention something about my, physical appearance, although it is true. I want to mention something that I feel is of substance and is not only beneficial to me, but is also beneficial to somebody other than me, somebody that I possibly do not even like to begin with, because then it means I'm serving a purpose here as a human being and I've got something that I can offer to the world. Why is that important? God? But yeah. And so I think in conclusion, I just wanted to know, do you think that self-love is a myth and that the only way to actually attain self-love is by self-hating? And something that Bobo and Flex mentioned on their podcast was that people don't realize that you can't attain self-esteem without going out there and doing esteemable acts to make yourself feel good, because we have been normalized, or rather socialized, into thinking that love is an emotion and not an action. So we're not in that position of wanting to go out there and do things that can actually benefit us. So thank you so much for your 12 minutes. I know I've been ranting and going on and on. I was just trying to make this video to be less than 10 minutes. And if you like this, please subscribe or share with your friend, and let me know if there's any other thing that you would like for me to discuss, or content that you want us to talk about and hash it out together, stuff like that. I'm always into these deep conversations. Bye.